Hi everyone, it's me again Shane, and today I'll be showing you how to create a dashboard. So the first step of creating a dashboard is to obviously create a dynamic graph as shown here. So as what I've shown you in the previous video, I actually created a dynamic scatter plot in which I can plot scatter plots based on my option chosen. Alright, so we have this and it's obviously nice to have one like this, but is there a way that we can make a few of these together on one page so that we can see a lot of data all at once? Of course, there's such a way. Alright, so today I'll be teaching you guys how to make a dashboard. Alright, so the first step will be to create a dynamic graph, which as seen have already been created. And the next thing to do is to actually move this drop down to the dashboard page so that we can control it just from the dashboard page itself. Alright, we realize that this wouldn't be really useful to be located here, so we have to move it in front. Alright, so what we can do is we can just simply copy and paste this part. Factor affecting happiness, which is the title, and the drop down list and the number. So we can copy and paste it. Alright, since I will be using this column for words, I'll probably paste it over here. Alright, okay, so we realize that this number isn't running well because there's an error in the reference of the list. So as usual, we have to go back and reference to this table here, which is what we had used in the previous time for our scatter plot. Okay, J2 and everything else will be constant, so not to worry. We get 2 again as usual, and if we change the options, we realize, oh no, there's no options as well. So why is that so? Because when I copy a drop-down list, it will refer to what is according to the previous setting in the data validation, and therefore we have to change it accordingly. Since if we put it around here, it'll be referring to somewhere from n10 to n15, which is not the case obviously because we are referring to a different sheet. So what we have to do is to go to dynamic scatter plot graph and to choose the reference over here, which is in this place. It's n10 to 15, but it's on a different sheet. That's the biggest difference that we have to take note of. Alright, so now we have the options as chosen here, and now we should include our scatter plot. So can we control a scatter plot? Let's see. Copy and paste. No, we realize we can't control a scatter plot. It does not change. So why is that so? It's because of a very simple reason. This change here is not actually affecting this change over here, because this is still in reference to what's shown here. Okay, hold on. So this is still in reference, unfortunately still in reference to what's chosen over here. So we have to change this so that this will reflect that instead. So what we can do is that we can actually delete this. Okay, we do not necessarily have to delete. We might actually can refer to this. Okay, so we can refer this to the dashboard, which is this cell here, and we can similarly refer this to the dashboard, which is this cell here as well. So tada! So what we can see now is that if we change it over here, it will actually be reflected over here as well, because this is linked to this, which is linked to this. So everything now is well connected. So now we have finished the steps as shown here, which isn't actually really much. And we can do this for other graphs as well, but I'll leave that up to you to explore. You can create a graph that is a pie chart or anything. We can even create a religious graph. So let's say it's the religion graph. We can actually add it in as well, and it's actually up to one how does one want to add it in. So we can add a top 10 or a bottom 10 list. Okay, so that will be what I'll be going through next. So are there any other charts that we can use in the dashboard? So there's another kind of chart that we can use. As opposed to just a simple rudimentary dynamic graph, we can use this thing called a pivot table. So how do we insert pivot table for this? First, we can choose the data for religion, click on insert and pivot charts. So we can just click OK as the range is appropriate, and we can get this. So it might be confusing. It might just seem like a blank list here at this moment. So what I can do is to choose the country and the religiosity, and oh my, it's a lot of data. But no worries, we can copy it and paste it in the dashboard first. So we see it's a lot of data. It might be too overwhelming for some to see. So what can we do here? So first we can actually try to understand what it means. Alright, the sum of religiosity actually just means the sum of the individual level of religiosity. As you can see, there's only one value in the sheet here, and therefore the sum of it just basically reflects like 0.97 in itself. So there's no actual real sum going on here. So but the biggest concern here is not actually a sum or what. As we can easily understand data, we can understand that all these lines reflect the religiosity of the country. But what is important that we should understand is how do you filter to get some interesting analytics to see what are the most religious countries and the least religious countries. So in such cases, what we can do is to actually click on sort options and sort it out. But if we sort it out, the problem with sorting it out based on the religiosity will be that, oh, we can see the trend, but it's still overwhelming. And as you can see here, there are a lot of data missing. And yep, there's a blank here as well, which can easily be removed. But what our concern is to find the top 10 and the bottom 10. So in this case, what we can do is we can actually click the top 10 button. And as you can see here, you can choose between top 10, bottom 10, and we can choose between the sum religiosity and nothing else as of now, as there's only one variable. Alright, so in this case, we can try maybe the top 10 countries that are most religious and click OK. And yep, tada! We can get the 10 most religious countries. And similarly, if you just want to check the least religious countries, you can do the same thing. You can click on the filter again and just change to bottom 10. And you can see the bottom 10. Alright, there's a blank here, which is probably an error in the sheet, and it shouldn't be too material in affecting the results, as we can just simply delete it. But okay, let's leave that for another time. So what's important here is to take note of actually cleaning up one's data before actually adding onto a dashboard. Alright, so you can see the use of pivot table here. Well, is a pivot table simply just one dimensional where you can just only include one factor called religiosity and not any other factors? We can actually add more factors in terms of pivot tables, but I'll go through that in another time. So what you can do here now, guys, is to see that you can create such different factors and add them and create charts based on these different factors. So the end product can actually be seen as per this. So this is actually what I have created, and it took me around a few hours to create it because yeah, a lot of different kind of data, and we have to think of how do we want to categorize the data. Okay, there's a scatter plot here, but must everything be a scatter plot? Can it be something else? So if we look at it and we actually choose based on this, these are actually filters that I've implemented and created charts. So guys, what is important is for you guys to explore and figure out the different ways that you want to visualize your data and actually combine them all into one dashboard as shown here. So guys, please do explore and try to find out different ways to create a dashboard. Have a good day.